Hi, welcome to Box on the Box, Rock and Celluloid, Bot Brat for short. Bit of rock for you today. Something I haven't done before. I'm going to rank some albums. So I've decided to do Uriah Heep, a band I like, but the real reason I'm doing it as well is Uriah Heep have now made 25 albums. Whether they make a 26th one or beyond, who knows, but it just seems a great challenge to try and rank their albums. So let's crack on with it, really. So number 25, I'm going to go for Conquest. This is a 1980 album. It just doesn't really work. It's not popular with fans. John Sloman joined on vocals for one album, but it's apart from a cool album cover, it just kind of misses the boat. And missed the boat for 1980 as well, which is a big year for comeback in rock. They really kind of didn't happen for them here, and I think by this point Ken Hensley was kind of just drying up as a writer. So that's that one. Number 24, I'm going for Different World. This is a follow-up to Raising Silence. It's produced by Trevor Bolder. By his admission, it didn't really work. Again, apart from a couple of tracks, again it just doesn't really have anything to offer. Right, even down to the album cover as well. It just unfortunate considering they'd made a pretty reasonable comeback. Number 23, I am going for Equator. When I was a kid, I saw the video for Rockorama, which I quite liked. It's just too sort of AOR-y. The Peter Golby era's got gradually watered down. They got a new deal with Portrait for this, and they only managed one album out of it. Had Tony Platt producing as well. Notice it's got Fairlight programming here. So although they had a fairly established lineup, with Trevor Bolder, John Sinclair on keyboards, this just again didn't work, and it only made number 79 in UK charts. Next, I'm going to go for the album that came before it, Head First. Again, the Golby era. Probably put this out too quickly after their Bomber Nog album. I'm just looking at Bomber Nog came out in March. It only took a year over it, just over. Probably trying to capitalise on the success it had with that. There's not really anything that kind of stands out on this for me. And number 21, I'm going for Raising Silence. Now this is, this was like their first time with Bernie Shaw after it had the success in Moscow. It's got a good cover, Hold Your Head Up, by Argent. You got Blood Red Roses. It's actually got another cover, When the War Is Over, by Cold Chisel. I think the thing with this album, it just kind of feels a little sort of AOR-y. Again, sort of coming off the back of the previous albums. But it is, having Bernie Shaw in, does upscale things, but it'll just take them a while to find their feet there. Okay, so now we're up to number 20. Debatable what to do with this, but I'm going to go with Sonic Origami. Strange, this is the album that comes after Sea of Light, 3 years after that, which is a good record. And then after this, I wouldn't do an album for 10 years. It opens with Between Two Worlds, which is a track they often play live, and it's got Across the Miles, a Survivor cover. Yeah, I don't know, it's very long, this album, 75 minutes. I just feel that it hasn't got standout cuts apart from that opening track. These first few albums are picked, it's kind of an interchangeable thing. I really think Conquest isn't very good, but there's good tracks on them, but they don't have that enough to what's the word? Pique the interest. So my next choice that's coming in, we're up to number 19, is, I'm sorry, I'm just going back through here, is by far the weakest album of the David Byrne era. It's Wonderworld. Some people like this, but I think the production's crap. It's a kind of an album too far. They've churned out so many albums in this period. They could have just released a live album this year and taking more time, and that's the fault of the management and Jerry Brown and Bronze Records pushing it too much. But Wonderworld's good, and The Easy Road, I like those tracks. I could never get away with Suicidal Man. Something for Nothing, I don't like that. Dreams is okay, but it just, compared to what's gone before, it's quite a way off. Again, I mean, it comes out June 1974, the album before his Sweet Freedom's like September 1973, so again, there's only an 8-month gap, just not enough time. So then what I've got next, coming in 18, 17, 16, are the three John, Christ, what's his name, sorry. Apologies. John Lawton on vocals, sorry. So these, I'm picking Fallen Angel as my choice for number 18. This is, I quite like some of the poppiness of this. It's got quite short songs. There's no progressive sort of elements. All the tracks on this album are kind of 3 minutes, 4 minutes long. Again, what it probably lacks is kind of a standout. It doesn't have a classic. There's no tracks to play off this live. It's just a combination of that era and John Lawton. It does have that certain quality. And then following up on that, Innocent Victim I would put next. You've got some Roller, Free and Easy, and Free Me, which stand out on this, which are played live. Free and Easy is pretty fast and furious. Again, shorter tracks on this, in that era, a lot of bands are starting to kind of go away from progressive things. There is a track called Illusion, which is pretty good. 5 minutes and 5. Terrible album cover. And yeah, the other one was a terrible album cover. Fallen Angels is a really good album cover. Top Gatefold. Again, this is released 77, Bronze Records, getting them to plough them out. Which brings me to the next choice, which is the debut of John Lawton from 1977, which is Firefly. This has got the Hanging Tree on, which is excellent. You've got the minor hit single Wise Man. I think that's their only Top of the Pops appearance. Sympathy, which is very good. And the title track, which is really cool multi-tracked harmonies. John Lawton had a lot of power. He could do a lot of screams. He had a kind of richer, more bluesy voice than Byron. He just wasn't as kind of, what's the word I'm looking for, emotionally engaging to me. Someone like Bernie Shaw has that kind of combo really of a Byron and Lawton, who, obviously I'd say those three guys are the best singers. So that brings me to number 15, which I'm going for Outsider. Let me just get up the tracks off this. I'm just on Wiki here, which just helps me remember stuff, so just bear with. This album comes on the back of a really strong run of albums, but it's just not as good. I think the main reason here was they'd lost Trevor Bolder, which must have hit them hard. It's Dave Rimmer's debut. So maybe not as settled. It is a good album. I'll give it 6 out of 10. You got Speed of Sound, 1 minute. The Law's good. Jesse, can't take that away. There is some good tracks. The production's okay. It just hasn't got the quality of the two albums that came before and the ones after. Although the album cover's pretty cool, nice kind of conceptual album cover. I don't know what it means, but I quite like it. So like those, the albums I've covered up to now are all sort of albums. They've got either there's not really anything of much interest in them, or you can go into some of them and find some gems like the Hanging Tree and so on. But the next sort of batch of albums really have some good quality on them. So my next choice, I'm going for their 1982 comeback, and this was very much a comeback. I think is Abominog. So Heep hadn't done an album for 2 years, which is a fucking eternity for them. They got Peter Golby in on Mick Box got Peter Golby in on vocals, Bob Daisy on bass. Lee Kerslake came back, John Sinclair on keyboards. He really rebooted the band. They have an excellent album cover, which was really kind of fitting in with the new Wobham. It's the kind of thing you're flicking through the record rack, it would stand out. And yeah, this has got a more of an AOR slick hard rock sound, but it benefits from that. So it's continuing the shorter song format that they had since the Lawton era. You got Too Scared to Run, which is a minor hit for them, I think. Or is it no, that's the way that it is. It was actually that, but Too Scared to Run was popular. Good track, Chasing Shadows, which is decent. And you got a Russ Bad track on the rebound. Hot Night in the Cold Town, it's all right. Then Running All Night Long with the Line, that's a good track. On the side too, that's the way that it is. It's a really good track. It's actually written by someone called Paul Bliss, but it's really good. And there's Prisoner, which is good as well. Quite a few different outside writers on this album, obviously brought in the absence of Ken Hensley, but still getting the whole Bob Day's, the whole band. There's quite a few Hot Persuasion, Sell Your Soul are like full band compositions. Think It Over is a really good track. Now this was actually done in the Conquest era with John Sloman, but I don't know if that made it onto. It doesn't make it onto the Conquest album, so they re-recorded that, which is really good. So yeah, there's some filler on this, but it's got strong. I think it's a statement of intent at the time that Uriah Heep and that Mick Box wanted to continue the band, survive without Ken Hensley. Ken Hensley's songwriting, and this album did well for them. It made number 56 in the Billboard charts, which is their highest chart place in donkeys, 34 in the UK, and they had, they toured. I forget who they supported. It might have been Judas Priest, but they did good. Okay, so that's my number 14 choice. Number 13, I'm going for High and Mighty. This is an album that kind of gets, trashed a bit because he's got a crap album cover and it's the last of the Byron era and it's seen as the band being on the the way out a bit, but John Wetton comes in on bass and vocals. He actually sings on the opening track One Way or Another, which has got a weird kind of high singing, but it's good. One Way or Another, Weep in Silence, I love Misty Eyes, a great track, and then the sort of fun rock of Can't Keep a Good Band Down. I think Midnight's pretty good as well. I think Women of the World I'm not into. Footprints in the Snow is good. Don't like Can't Stop Singing or Make a Little Love. Confession's a nice piano ballad. So the album kind of tails off, but the side one's very strong and there's a couple of tracks on side two. So it's actually a better album than people realise. If it had a couple of stronger tracks, it would be up the food chain. And that brings me on the next choice, which is Return to Fantasy. Again, this is an album, was actually quite a big hit for them. I think really on the back of the album cover, maybe it had a kind of nice price deal. Great album cover, great artwork. This actually made number 7 in the UK. I think this is the highest charting album, 85 in the US Billboards, silver in the United Kingdom. But why is this album not as well remembered in some ways? Because it's only got one really sort of classic track on, which is the title track, Return to Fantasy, which is a kind of weird sort of gothic track. But Shady Lady's really good. It's got a great slide guitar part on that. Devil's Daughter's a really good rocker. And then side one finishes with Beautiful Dream. They're really good. And you got Prima Donna, which is a good rocker. Your Turn to Remember, which is a kind of bluesy track. Then you got Showdown, which is a kind of a good sort of poppy rocker. Why Did You Go, which is a cool kind of country vibe track. I think, and then A Year and a Day, which is a quite a cool finishing track. So it's actually a pretty strong record. Again, it just probably lacks those key cuts. None of these tracks get played live, but there's a lot of love for the track Return to Fantasy. But I do think it's again, it's better than High and Mighty. If it had more kind of well-known tracks, standout cuts, it would be up the food chain. So the next choice is my first Bernie Shaw pick, and it's 1995 Sea of Light. This, after two sort of middling albums to sort of get the Bernie Shaw era going, they really come good with this. They get Roger Dean in to do the artwork, obviously going back to that Demons and Wizards, Magician's Birthday, Against the Odds, Sweet Sugar, Time of Revelation, Mistress of All Time. Really good tracks, those there. Words in the Distance, Spirit of Freedom. It's got strong songs on this. The production's strong. I think Cali Trapp produces with Uriah Heep. He did Saxon albums. This is the time when these kind of bands are going to Germany and the European market. Germany makes number 87. It doesn't do that well for them, but amongst Heat fans, it's well thought of. I think there's a couple of filler tracks on it, but the rest is very strong. Really, really good record. So my number 10 choice is their debut album, Very, Very, Very Humble. This has, you know, Gypsy on it, Come Away Melinda, which are kind of obviously Gypsies, the song that really got them going. Walking Your Shadow's really good. It's actually David Byrne, Paul Newton write that. Dream Mare's cool. I'll Keep On Trying. Wake Up Sexy Sights. It's good. I mean, it's kind of a bit more proggy, a bit more keyboardy in places rather than heavy, but it is, you know, what's the word I'm looking for? It's, you know, one of those albums that came out in 1970 and begins the development of metal, so to speak. My next choice is, this is a tricky one, because a lot of people really love the song. I think it's really good, but I just prefer other ones they've done in the series. Living the Dream. This is really comes in a real purple patch of the band. Graced by Heaven, Living the Dream, Take Away My Soul, excellent. Rocks in the Road, really good. Waters Flowing, and Falling Under Your Spell. You know, some really strong tracks on this. I'd probably give it a 7 out of 10. You know, like I say, a lot of people were kind of more, this is absolutely one of the best. I do think it's a really good album. There's just other ones I prefer, but check it out. So yeah, on that subject, you know, those recent Bernie Shaw albums, Into the Wild. No, sorry, it's Wake the Sleeper is my next choice. It's a tough one, this. I was kind of yin and yang between this, Living the Dream, Into the Wild. But Wake the Sleeper was a kind of a bit of a comeback album for them. They hadn't done an album for 10 years. This is really strong record. Wake the Sleeper, Overload, Tears of the World, really good. The superb What Kind of God, which is still play live. And Angels Walk With You, War Child, you know. Really good tracks on this album. You know, probably a couple of fillers. Never really understood the album cover, but anyway, it wouldn't be better maybe if they had a more classic sort of Roger Dean type thing. Next choice is Into the Wild, sort of unusually. I think a lot of people would pick Wake the Sleeper over this, but having listened back, I just think this is a little more consistent. You got Nail on the Head, I Can See You, Money Talk, I'm Ready, Trail of Diamonds, Southern Star, really good. Kiss of Freedom, which is a great finishing track. T-Bird Angel, you know, it's very consistent, this record, 8 out of 10 for me. But it's all a hair's breadth to me between Living the Dream, Wake the Sleeper and this. Okay, my number 6 choice. God, this is a big job, innit? Number 6 is Salisbury. So this is kind of a weird, the follow-up to Very, Very, Very Humble. A little more challenging, a lot more progressive, still find the sound, but I like it. You got Bird of Prey, Lady in Black would be the 2 tracks that are still played live. Obviously Lady in Black, a big hit later on actually in Germany. But you got The Park, which is really, really good, sort of nice kind of ethereal quality to it. Time to Live, which is a track not as well known, but it's a really good rocker. And you got High Priestess, which has got some really good stacked harmonies. And then The Madness of Salisbury, 16 minutes, which has a big orchestra kind of brass section. Kind of 6 tracks, you know, very, very sort of proggy, quite experimental. Simon the Bullet Freak's another really good track, which is, you know, was on the US edition, I think, of the album. It is on the US release. So yeah, I like this record. It's very 1970s, very 1971, very of its time, but I do prefer it, you know, to other ones, and that's why it's up high. So I had to divot over this. At the moment, I'm putting it at number 5. It's Chaos and Colour, their most recent release. I think this is brilliantly produced. Particularly the bass sound, the bottom end. I think the consistency of the songwriting is, it hasn't got a bad track on it. Silver Sunlight, Hail of Sunrise, Hurricane, One Nation, One Sun, Golden Light, Fly Like an Eagle, great tracks. And then the other tracks, Free to Be Free, Never Be Alone, Save Me Tonight, Close to Your Dreams, good. Really amazing the band's pulled this off, but I think Probably the pandemic's maybe helped a bit. They've had taken that little bit of extra time. It's maybe inspired them. And it's really building on everything they've done since Wake the Sleeper, that run of albums. And they just sort of perfected it. Quite nice graphics on the cover as well. I think they've had some, funny album covers recent times, and I think this kind of just quite eye-catching. Just the whole package, really good. Even right down to the sort of videos they've done and stuff. Yeah, this is an album that could go higher. But I've put it here, really, really amazing. And that's kind of inspired us to do this top 25. If your 25th album can be this good, that's amazing. Okay, so we're into the top 4. So it's a tricky one, this. I kind of divot. I'm actually going to change my mind. Number 4, I'm going for Sweet Freedom. Really good Byron Aaron album. Probably let down by a couple of tracks, Dreamer and One Day. Quite like One Day. It kind of weird opening with the worst track, but other than that, it's excellent. Check it out. Then I'm going for Magician's Birthday at number 3. Kind of grows on me, this album. Superb Sunrise, Don't Like Spider-Woman, Blind Eye, Echoes in the Dark Rain, finishing original side 1, all excellent. Sweet Lorraine, I quite like, never been as fussed with it. And then the Super Tales, brilliant. And then the Magician's Birthday, bit bonkers, but it's a lot of fun. Really good record. So the top 2. This is the tricky one. Obviously, you'll know what 2 are left. Is it Look at Yourself? Is it Demons and Wizards? Well, I'm gonna go for Look at Yourself. Great record, classic of its time. Third time's the charm. Got to Look at Yourself and July Morning, 2 absolute classics. I Want to Be Free, side 1, good rocker. Tears in My Eyes, really good rocker. Shadows of Grief, probably the deep cut off the album. Absolutely brilliant. What Should Be Done, like a cool sort of bluesy. It's weird, reminds me of the Get Carter soundtrack, the keyboard sound, and then finishing with Love Machine. Why have I picked Demons and Wizards over this? Probably, I think it's more cohesive of an album. It's not a concept album or anything, but it feels like everything fits together right down to the artwork and production, and that's why that's my number 1 choice. You got the Wizard, then Traveller in Time. You can kind of almost see lyrically they fit together. Easy Living, probably the band's most famous track, and the every band needs a track that lets them go around the world, and that's a track. I mean, the chart placings on this, really strong. Probably their biggest selling album. Poet's Justice, a kind of lesser known track off the album, but a strong filler cut. It is really good. Circle of Hands, amazing, brilliant. Hensley song. Rainbow Demon, probably maybe the best track off the album actually for me. Absolutely brilliant. All My Life, the weakest track but a good rocker. Certainly doesn't do an injustice. And then Paradise and the Spell finishing off. Kind of combined together really. So I think I'm these days, it's a cliche, but I do think Demons and Wizards is the best album, and I do think it's an all-time classic of that era. So there we go, 25 Uriah Heep albums ranked. Being honest, it's easier for me to rank the sort of top last 12, 13 or so, 14. Those earlier ones, I don't kind of, whenever I've put them on, I kind of don't feel inspired to listen to them as much. But there you go, that's my sort of take. Other people would have different takes. If you've got the time to listen to 25 albums, go for it. And I'll see you again. Cheers. Remember, share and subscribe. Thanks very much.